is that what Tuggz is trying to say here is, Tuggz, I intentionally was willing to wait for 2 hours. 2 hours straight. 2 hours straight. I waited in the cells, waiting for a lawyer, and for the interactions surrounding getting arrested. More than 2 hours? I don't know how long it was. I didn't complain about it. People in chat kept saying like, oh my God, you know, they kept you in here. And I kept telling chat, like, don't worry about it. I'm choosing to do this, right? But the interactions I got were just so depressing. Like, I will say, I was OOC depressed about it, man. And the reason is as follows. It was and I'm gonna explain why. Everything I do is always going to be in character. I'm here for role play, and that's it. I know that I'm going to get fined in time. I know I'm going to get charged. That stuff doesn't ever bother me. Even in relation to other people that I interact with, right? Like, it's not about the money. You know, the money is just a tool, right? If I need to make money, like, you know, I already deal with enough of, like, you know, the reason why I did Grime is because, like, listen, man, like, you know, pre-planned it, you know, have some money in case some shit goes down. The fine doesn't affect me. The amount of time doesn't affect me. It's that I felt like there was no role play to be had. Like, it's just, that was so depressing for me. Because despite having waited for so long, and I'm not going to get into this like reductionist view of role play, which is that being in the cells and talking is role play. That was not really role play. That's the excuses viewers make when something dumb happens. I don't put this on the cops that we had to speak to, but rather the circumstances that unfolded. There was no, usually when you think of role play, you think of like there's back and forth. There's like some sort of verbal rock, paper, scissors. It was entirely predetermined in the very beginning. And what was so rough about it was like, I didn't need to, in my mind, yeah, I had sort of envisioned that eventually we get caught probably doing moonshine or something cool. But even despite the fact that it happened in a way that wasn't ideal in like a cool storyline fashion, I was okay with that. But to kind of be presented with a scenario that my character is finally, after evading the cops for so long, got found with something where they can actually press charges. None of that sort of bothered me. But what bothered me was that I couldn't even have a back and forth on any of my charges to even the smallest degree. I'll be out of my head in yeah, thank you. Was so exhausting and so depressing, and depressing mostly because the way that the signals it gives me in character and out of character is, don't even talk to the cops, don't leave any breadcrumbs. You know what I mean? And do things in character that are ultimately bad, like things that I think criminals should never do, right? Like, in other words, that the way that I now have to react is, don't give anything back, don't leave any breadcrumbs, don't even talk to the cops because it's pointless. That's awful. Mister? I'm doing good. Sorry, I'm in my head a little bit.
Oh no, all right. Carmine thinks he's slick. He's like standing behind that building behind us.
Yeah. And I don't want to feel that way because I play cop. I know that it sucks when a crim doesn't interact with you because then you don't have any RP. But and I hope nobody looks at this like I'm crying that I finally got caught, or I'm crying I got a hot gun or anything like that. but you understand the very specific reason why I'm sort of deflated over all of it, is that there isn't any reason to have cell interactions. And if there was, and if there is, I am searching for it. And I've been RPing for a very long time. And I have never seen ever, I do not recall this go. Bro, I played slow burn. I played, you know, high intensity. It's, Grip, get the fuck out of my channel, you fucking retard. Yeah, Grim Vids, go ahead and, yeah, fuck that guy. Grip Vids, nice one, dude. Remember, with this many thousand people, there's at least one retard. Yeah, GRIPVIDS. Enjoy, boys. It's just, I don't, there's no back in, there's no back and forth. There's no back and forth, man. Second Chatham? Yeah, that's how I moderate in this channel. Yeah, you come do some toxic shit. You're doing it publicly. Enjoy, brother. Yeah, it's I don't know. I've been, yeah, what I was saying is like I've played for a minute and yeah, I don't think I've been that like in my mental, right? I'm like, man, I don't want my character to not. When I play cop, right? I love interacting with criminals. I've played a cop that's completely fucked people over, right? Look at Sanguine. I fucked over a lot of people. But the thing that I enjoyed the most while playing cop is hearing a criminal out, trying to come up with what took place. If I felt like the charges, like I couldn't really, like in my heart of hearts, believe I could prove with what I got, I wouldn't press the charges. And I'm not going to relate it to, like, some people will bring up the cases of like the G&E situation, and I'm going to be transparent about this. The G&E situation, I stopped it because the criminals didn't want me investigating it, so I took the L. OOC, I took the L. With the situation with Bass dying with the explosion, that was an L that was made out of the city. We didn't have the mechanics. We
Mehdi
lost
clapped
not
Mehdi
because of
Hallelujah,
case.
Ren Dog
Like,
loves.
in other words, certain cases like that, you know, like some of those things, they were sort of not all based, you know, in city stuff. My point that I bring these things up is those things do happen, right? But where, yeah, out of my hands kind of shit. Yeah. But even in those cases, and the reason I bring it up is sometimes as a cop, I still did press charges that I, in my heart of hearts, thought was the right way to go about it. But in general, if you don't know in your heart of hearts, you can't do it. You know, you don't do. But the thing is, like, having played cop, the worst thing that can happen is when there is no role play reason for a criminal to want to talk to you in the cells, right? And so now playing criminal, being in a position where my criminal's like has no reason but to say charge me and send me up, makes me feel bad. You know what I mean? Does that make sense what I'm trying to say? I don't want to play a guy that is like that, but now I have no choice. is that I'm like thinking, bro, now I can't give any RP back. And that's what sucks. That's my true, that's where it really, I think, hurts. Not the fine, not the time, the feeling that it's pointless to have the interaction, not because I can get away with something, but rather that the interaction is worthless. And that not even, like, and that's why it sucks so bad, having a videotape and just getting, nope, we're not going to tell you why, but we're just going to charge you anyways and going to bring it to court. And the thing is, bro, court is fucking dog shit. Not because of the judges, not because of the DOC, but because by the time that court case happens, the role play is not relevant anymore to anybody. So going to court over fighting like a charge just becomes a random W. If it's a big major charge, right? Like you murdered somebody or something, like something that you're pressing a charge for that is a big role play piece, it's understandable. But for random shit that doesn't do anything, it just kind of feels like grief. It really does. And I say that in the by definition, the definition of what grief is, but not rather as like someone is doing something griefing. It's kind of like the system allows for it. It doesn't have any merit. It's no, you know. Am I making sense? I'm trying to be very trying to open up the, you know, the perspective a bit and not try to make it like a weird thing. It's like almost like the system does it. Because even for the simplest thing, you can't even argue it or whatever, and you're just like, oh, bring it to court. Bro, I don't think that's ever been a thing. Like, what, you're taking away all sense of officer discretion. You're removing all power from the attorney. You're not, even furthermore, you're not even basing on anything on probable cause at that stage. Because now you're going, your probable cause is reasonable suspicion. And a system that sort of like encourages that sort of mental thought process is extremely dangerous. And it's sad, to be honest. And you know, so that's kind of where I'm like, this is crazy. I felt so bad for Moose Knuckles. We spent all that time just like, and I feel like the worst thing about it is the way that you're talked down to in the cells. Like your character shouldn't know anything, it makes it even worse. Because it's like, we spent an hour trying to move the roleplay forward. We spent so much time getting the info, and it didn't matter what it said, you know? It just, you got to bring it to court. I don't think, I don't even know, like, believe that judges want, like, the docket to get spammed with, like, irrelevant, low RP impactful cases that bring no value, but rather just serve as, like, serve as a band-aid to lazy policing. Now, I don't know from the OOC aspects of why these things are happening. I don't know. I'm not in the know of it, but like I don't for a second actually believe that the judges have said, if you don't have because it doesn't make any sense that if you don't have probable cause that someone did something. So back in the day, I saw this kind of debate pop up in the past where the way that it used to work is if you had a hot gun, I want to be everything's on a spectrum, right? That if someone was found on a hot gun, the bullet casing and the weapon being in someone's possession was not enough probable cause in order to do the charge. The way that it was set up, and I know people did it otherwise, but they weren't supposed to. It was literally, you would get chewed out for this, is that you needed another piece of evidence that put them on the scene. And the reason is probable cause factors in reasonability. In a city like Los Santos where weapons move a lot, it is not actually reasonable to believe that just because you have a weapon, that you had the weapon at the time of the crime. Does that make sense? What I'm saying? In real life, it would be probable. Because in real life, if you have a gun, you reasonably had it for an extended period of time. In Los Santos, it is not unreasonable for guns to move around. It is actually more often than not. So therefore, in order, and sure, some people may have been charged like it, but there was a very hard standard. And for this very reason is that if you had possession of the gun and there was casings, you still needed blood DNA. You still needed someone to say, yo, I saw little Tuggz on that scene. You needed, well, 2 people from Chang Gang were involved in that circumstance. You're a member of Chang Gang. You've got the gun. You needed another piece of evidence. But the fact that that has been thrown out in lieu of go to court and prove your innocence is so bad for Cell Rep RP. It's so bad. And the way that obviously we can counter it in RP is throw the gun away. Counter it by getting more money to buy guns. But that's easy to do. But what it takes away is it makes the cops lazier. On the most simplest thing, it like, bro, like, what are you gonna, if you get someone's gun that's a murder, you're gonna get a murder charge now? Like, what the fuck? It is, I think it encourages lazy policing. It encourages lazy policing on like, how do I put this? The thing that a police character, whether new or old, is going to be interacting with more than anything is get evidence collection on gun casings. And if they are quote unquote solving things on the most common investigative crime, which is criminal use of a gun, and you're pushing the mentality of like that lazy policing on the most common investigative thing that you're going to be doing, well, then you're just going to end up getting shitty investigations on anything more complicated. You know, my English sucks. Someone put that in better words. On the thing that is the most common type of investigation new and old cops are going to be doing, which is criminal use of a firearm, if you're promoting, if there is a level of promoting laziness around it, everything else is going to be lazier. There needs to be a minimum standard around that. And it's possible that there isn't, but it's just very disheartening, I think. So that's my opinion on the matter. If you let them be lazy on the common thing, then it becomes lazy on everything else. Yeah. Yep, 100%. So I don't know. We'll find out in character, but the fact that, you know, Tuggz brought up those tapes and was just like, well, you're guilty. Well, like, what's my character gonna do now? Literally just send me up. Yeah, I feel like it's encouraging pushing so many things to court that are just not worth bringing to court for. There's no DA. There's not enough DOJ cycles. It's literally just, it's insane. Yeah, there's no counterplay. That's what it is. There's no counterplay in the cells. I don't know what the logic is. I don't know what the logic is. If I were to go on a limb, I think probably the DOJ isn't actually down for this. And rather, the DOJ has actually told counter, but I think the PD didn't listen to it or didn't comprehend what was told to them. Because I can't feasibly, in my mind, imagine that the PD was literally told, someone's found with a gun, they're guilty without any affirmative defense. But the thing is that Tuggz gave an affirmative defense in the cells. So I genuinely think that there's like a comprehension problem. No, letter of the law. Listen, stop parroting shit. Yeah, with all due respect, stop parroting shit that you don't understand. The whole letter of the law stuff is getting annoying. Motherfuckers heard like letter of the law at one particular use case and think everything just is letter of the law is the excuse. Like that's a bad. There's nothing wrong with letter of the law. Letter of the. It's literally don't even. If you don't even fucking know what letter of the law is, stop saying that. Doesn't help the conversation when you're parroting shit you don't get. Letter of these